wing, but Carson to land on his feet somewhere. And I think in terms of being in Philadelphia and what he's accomplished so far, he has a lot to be proud about. And, that Super Bowl run, he deserves a lot of credit for that. So, when I think back on his career and what he's done so far in the last 4 years, it suffices for me. I think he's done some great things. And if he goes on and moves on, he has some amazing ability that I think can, fit with, some, teams that's out there. And, who knows who that could be. But I think Carson has done enough in Philadelphia. If he decides to move on, I think he'll have some success somewhere else. And if he doesn't, I think it'll be 1 year and then next year it'll be out. But he'll be out. But I don't know, man. I'm kind of torn with this one. Hopefully, he stays in Philadelphia for one more season. If not, then I think he'll land on his feet, like I said.
I'm not torn at all. He has to go. And I said, Skip, once they benched him, I said, somebody was going to have to go. I said, Carson Wentz or Doug Peterson is gone. Carson Wentz realized that, hold on, Doug Peterson did not make this move to put Jalen Hurts in without the blessing of the general manager and the owner. So everybody is culpable for me going to the bench. He holds everybody culpable. That's why he says, I want out. He's looking at this situation like, y'all did this to me. I cannot in good even if you bring a new coach in, I know what you did last year. So he wants out. You have to get rid of him. And you see, the problem that the Eagles are having, they're looking at what the Rams gave up to get Matthew Stafford. But people around the league don't view Carson Wentz like they view Matthew Stafford. So you can't get that, Skip. We might have a house in the same subdivision. Somebody got to list their house for $5 million. Ooh, they got $5 million for that? Your house might only be worth $2 million. Just because somebody paid $5 million for the house across the street from your house in the same subdivision doesn't mean your house is worth $5 million. It doesn't mean Carson Wentz is worth 2 first-rounders and another draft pick because someone else gave up that for a starting quarterback. Philly, take your losses. They know you want to get rid of him. They're not going to give you maximum value for something that you want to discard, Skip.
No.
Don't they know how this works?
No.
That's the reason I say, that's the reason I say you keep him for another year and you deal with it.
You can't.
Just one more season.
You can't keep him in that locker room, Mike.
They can.
No, they can't. No, you can't.
So, Michael, not to put you on the spot here, but is it fair to say that you have as much Eagles in your heart as you have your original team Falcons in your heart? Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. They hold a special place in my heart.
They do.
I want nothing but the best for the organization.
Yep. And Andy Reid obviously holds a very special place in your heart.
Most definitely.
So I'm with Shannon for a different reason here. Obviously, I'm not an Eagles fan. They're not in my heart. But from the start, I couldn't get sold on Carson Wentz. And as a lifelong Cowboy fan, I always told Shannon, I don't fear him when we play them. There's something about his lack of command of the position where he doesn't have the great feel for playing the position that I think you need to have to be an ultimately Super Bowl winning quarterback. And obviously he was a disaster last year. You can say it wasn't all his fault, but he led the league in turnovers. He also led the league in sacks, which is not all his fault, but he did hang on to the ball too long occasionally, trying to throw the home run, which he can do because he's a big, strong, strapping young man with a big arm. But to me, I didn't sense the poise, the touch, the leadership intangibles that you need in a franchise quarterback. So I understand that they finally decided we have to move in a different direction. And the question becomes, let's do Frank Reich. Obviously, he was there.
Right. He coached him.
Run. He coached him, and it turned into a Nick Foles Super Bowl run. I'm still not sure Carson could have pulled off what Nick Foles pulled off. Again, Shannon believes in him because Shannon's a fan of Carson Wentz. But the question becomes, Michael, if you reunited him with a man who coached him and loves him and believes in him, in Frank Reich.
And the coach got a great offensive line.
He's got a great offensive line.
They got a great offensive line.
So Michael, would you see big success? Could they win a Super Bowl in Indianapolis with Carson Wentz at quarterback?
Anything is possible. He can go to the Indianapolis Colts and inherit some of the things that he had when he got to Philadelphia. And part of the reason he had success is because they had a great defense. In 2017, their defense was clicking. So Carson was getting more opportunities. The offensive line was better. JP was younger. Lane Johnson was playing some of his best football. And it showed. Carson was checking plays at the line of scrimmage. He was changing plays. Him and Doug was clicking. I seen that, and I took notice to it, and I think they was, 9-1 before he got hurt. And then all of a sudden, everything changed. And, I know in life, in football, everything is subject to change. And when that happened, it was more pressure on Carson. Frank Wright moved on the next season, and things were different. So it didn't look the same. And that's natural. That's a natural progression at the quarterback position. But, given the right pieces, when you have the defense, when you have the offensive line, you can get the best version out of any quarterback that your organization believe in if he's behind the center. You just got to give him a chance and surround him with the right pieces. Now, I'm not saying he can't go to Indianapolis and get everything that he deserves or everything that he needs in order to push forward and have success.
Yeah, I like the Indy situation, Skip, because as I mentioned, they got a great offensive line. They need to re-sign T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pippen Jr., Jack Doyle. They have some weapons. They do. They can run the football with the Taylor kid out of Wisconsin.
What quarterback don't need that, though?
No, but I'm just saying.
Don't need weapons. What quarterback don't need an offensive line? What quarterback don't need a defense?
Mike, it's
just fortunate not to have all that.
Mike, it's over for Carson in Philly. That's done. He's not going back. You can't bring him back. You can't say, just bring him back. Yeah, you can hold on to him. No, you can't. He will poison the locker room. I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts either, but you cannot bring Carson Wentz. After everything that y'all have gone through together, you've got to get him out of that locker room. It is an absolute must. And guess what? They're going to end up taking, Ron Jaworski reported that the news that he's heard, the best offer they've gotten was 2 twos and a possible 3rd or 4th down the line.
From Indianapolis.
From Indianapolis.
So if they don't get what they want, what happens with Carson Wentz?
Mike, you know how it is with that quarterback.
In Philadelphia, they have to deal with it. One more season. Look, Jalen Hurts, he's young. He has a long way to go. I'm not saying I don't trust this man in his second season. I'm saying that you can always make amends.
No, you can't.
In the locker room.
No, you can't. You can't make amends with this one.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't, Mike. No, sir.
We all human with emotion.
Mike, you know how the quarterback is wired. You know there are certain positions that you cannot cross that bridge. You can bench a lot of players. You can bench a wide receiver. You can bench an offensive lineman. You can bench a defensive lineman. But you can't bench a guy that you gave $140 million to and says, shut up, just sit here. That's not going to happen, Mike. It's never going to happen.
I understand, Shay. I totally understand what you're saying, and that goes back to the human emotional side that I just spoke about. But you're getting paid a lot of money, and you're just playing football.
Okay.
Listen, who cares about the emotions that's flying around the locker room or upstairs? If I know I have all the right pieces in place and I can go out there and do my job, then I'm going to go out there and do it to the best of my ability. And then next year, if y'all want to move on, go ahead and move on. I'm still in my 5th, 6th year. I'm still 28, 29 years old with a lot of football left.
I tell you what, Michael Vick, I tell you what I do. I bet you a golden doorknob to a 5-gallon bucket of cow manure, and I'll let you put up the cow manure that Carson Wentz will be up out of there within a month or 2.
Okay, agree. Let's agree to disagree on that. Let's flip the script to my team, the Dallas Cowboys.